This is Perry Ryder with Action Associates. What I'd like to do here is show you the integrations of Sage Estimating. As you can see, Sage Estimating integrates with eTakeoff. Sage Estimating also integrates with Sage BidMatrix Cloud. And Sage Estimating integrates with Sage Intacct for Construction, Sage 300 CRE, and Sage 100 Contractor, job cost accounting software. Sage BidMatrix also interfaces with invitation to bid portions of Building Connected, Procore, and SmartBid. If you're a contractor that subcontracts out 70% or more of the work, here is a typical workflow you might consider. Here we are in Sage Estimating. It's with the intention in this technique is to try to find as many or engage with as many subcontractors and vendors as possible. So in this technique, you would want to start getting ready to solicit different subcontractors and vendors with invitations. So the way to start here is to hit File and Duplicate. Now what this does, you're trying to take a type of project, typical spec sections, which of course can be modified. But here's a great way to start quickly. You would browse over here and you would have your different types of templates for different types of buildings. It could be a commercial concrete frame building or steel frame building, or wood frame, a commercial build out for renovations, and or a courthouse, industrial work, jails, public library, and so on. So you have different templates because the spec sections change for the different style of building. So if I double click on courthouse, it puts it out. That's the source that I'm going to template, that I'm going to duplicate. So I'll hit browse over here. And where do I want to put it? Well, I'll put it into 2025. And what I'll do here is I'll just call this project 102. And once I hit OK, the process is going to be completed and it's going to be successful. And I'll be informed that it will be successful. As you can easily see here, I'll say yes. And all of a sudden, voila, you actually have all your spec sections broken down. And of course, wherever you are, you could actually expand all, and then you see all your different spec sections broken down uniquely, more granularly. And it's this type of information that you will want to be setting up in your invitation to bid software or ITB software. All this information can be exported to Excel and then imported into your invitation to bid software. And off you go, start soliciting those subcontractors and vendors to start looking at your project. Very nicely flowed in terms of information. Out they go. And now you can get down to your typical takeoffs, scope checking the different type of systems that you would like to take off. And that's what I'm going to show you now. Okay, here we are in eTakeoff. You're looking at a floor plan of an existing project, for instance, that you want to do takeoff on. And on the left-hand side over here, we see the box that illustrates traces. And traces are basically your connections to Sage Estimating, to Sage Estimating's databases. In this case, I have many different type of databases I'm integrated with on the Sage Estimating side. Down below over here is the drawing list of different drawings. And so what I'd like to kind of show you, and it's bolded up on landscape over here because I've already done some takeoff. And if I click on the layer list over here, it will actually show you the takeoff I did previously to do a curb and gutter, for instance, if you could see that. Let me pull this down a little bit. There you go. And I also took off some paving. So I'll check that box so you could see that. So we could turn it on, turn it off, as well as the sidewalk. So I took that off as well. And now you see the takeoff that I previously did. Now, but I want to take off some, in this case, a mass slab right back over here. So I'll come back into the database that's connected with Sage Estimating for those that subcontract out 70% of the work. And it's this database over here. And so if I come back over here to concrete, I'll come on down to, let's say, a 4-inch slab on grade. I'll double click on that. And if you notice over here, it's waiting for me to do some takeoff. And what is turned on actually automatically is this tool called Snap AI. And it's using artificial intelligence to read certain lines that are hot. We call them vectorized PDFs. And a vectorized PDF is a drawing that actually was printed from a CAD program to PDF. And when that happens, it becomes vectorized, meaning a hot line. And so I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm actually doing over here. And so I'm ready to do the area. And so as I come in close to the actual edge of the slab or the slab on grade, you'll notice it went and it hit all the points relative to that mass slab. And that's it. I'm done. I just hit enter to terminate the measurement, and you'll see it's all on there. And now you'll see slab on grade on and off. You could see it. But if I want to go down to the next plan down, if I decide to go there, you'll notice this plan was drawn by hand. It was not a CAD program, and therefore Snap AI is not available because it reads hot lines. And so you would actually have to measure the plan, whatever it is that you want to measure. So in this case, if I want to do a wall footing, I'll just double click on that. And it's asking me a few other questions. Just click on this line right back over here, and bingo, and I'm done. What's the width of the footing? Well, it might be whatever it might be. It might be 3 foot by 1 foot thick, and bingo, it's 15 yards, 15.6 yards of concrete. So if I'm done with that, of course, I want to go to a different division. I just minimize all that, and I'll switch to my first floor plan. And maybe I'll go to finishes, and maybe, whoops, I went to 8. But if I could have done 8. I could have come back over here and said I want to take off this hollow metal frame, and that's fine. And I'll turn that off. And so at this point, I might want to pick up that door and wherever I might put in, a certain type of door. And when I'm done doing all that, I'll just hit enter, and I got 4 points. Okay, so let's now go on to finishes. And now let's do the acoustical ceiling 2x2. I'll double click on that, and I'll just come in over here and drop in the ceiling, from there to there to there to there, let's just say, for instance. I'll just hit enter to terminate that. And now you see the extent of the ceiling. You see the doors that we just picked up earlier. And you could turn them on and off, as you can easily see. They go on and off, but let me just get out of that little deal. And so you can see them turn on and off, and back on again. So you're able to see different things. And if we're done with the finishes, we just could collapse that. And of course, I didn't show you any other specialties, but like a flagpole, just for argument's sake, if there was one showing that, one there and one there, I'll just hit enter, and that's now counted. So let's go on to our second floor plan, and you notice that I've already done a bunch of interior partitions for drywall. So let's go on back over here, back into Division 9, and continue with some more interior drywall walls. So that's going to ask me length and width. So I'll double click on that, and now I'm just going to come in right over here. I'm going to come in on this line and just go that far. And now I'll just hit enter to terminate that. I'm going 9 foot high, and bingo, that's done. And when you're all done, at this moment, you say, okay, I'm all done. And now I'm ready to send it over to Sage Estimating, all my takeoff. So I'll press this bridge. It says, hey, there are no bridges for this new project, Project 102. Do you want to create a new bridge? I'm going to say yes. So now I'm going to put in Project 102. If I could type correctly. There we go. And it's using a standard catalog. I'm using Sage Estimating. I could start a new estimate, but I'm going to use the estimate that we started just a few moments ago that you saw when we picked out all our specific spec sections for this type of project. So I could browse to it. And if you remember, we put it into 2025, and it's right back over here, Project 102. I'll click on Project 102, and now we're good to go. I'll just hit OK. And so I'll maximize the screen in the bridge, and it actually will show you everything that was automated to be automatically integrated. So there's the flagpoles, the sidewalks, the slab on grade, the basement wall footing, and so on, asphalt paving, acoustical 2x2 ceiling, and so on. So I basically want to send it over as automatic. So I just press that button. It says, hey, done, and you're done. And so now we could go view the estimate back in Sage Estimating. If you remember, we were here to start with. And on this home tab, I'm going to collapse all. And all of a sudden, things are starting to populate. If you remember, if I come back over here and hit expand, you'll see, oh, there's my asphalt paving. Here's my sidewalks. Everything is using your historical cost of what you have for asphalt paving or sidewalks or site concrete. And you'll notice over here up above, I'll just hit collapse all and just come on back where you remember those doors and frames. We could double click there, and all of a sudden, you see the 4 that I used, whatever price I had. People are going to quote these different spec sections, but at least you have your check, your scope check per se. And then in concrete, if you remember that, double click in here. Here's all the different spec sections for the project, but at least you have things to scope check to ask the subcontractor who gave you lump sums, so you kind of know what to expect or where it should be around. Just to reiterate our simple process: first, start in Sage Estimating, then template a typical style of project like commercial or industrial or municipal or renovation. That created a typical list of spec sections for a style or type of project that can be adjusted. You can send spec sections over to your invitation to bid software like Procore, Building Connected, and SmartBid. Start eTakeoff to scope check system quantities. You saw both spec sections and actual scope check quantities from eTakeoff in Sage Estimating. Now see how to open your Sage Estimating estimate in Sage's multi-user cloud collaborative program, BidMatrix Cloud, for bid leveling, bid analysis, bid comparison by spec section, bid packages. We are back here in Sage Estimating BidMatrix Cloud. And as you can see on this home screen, you might say, it lists all our projects. I started the project already called Project 102 in BidMatrix. And here's some information that it was filled out here on the right-hand side that you could fill out. And so since I already created it, I'm just going to go ahead and just bring you in right over here. And so this is the summary sheet, as you could well see, but none of the estimate is in here yet. So I'm going to import the estimate from Sage Estimating. So here's the estimates that I have in Sage Estimating, and you can actually see them where I had it. If you recall, I had them in 2025. I'll scroll down to Project 102. I'll click on that and I'll hit next. And so it's here that we actually just tag it to what the bid package is, as well as what the phase is in BidMatrix. So it shows you that the bid package has not been mapped. So I'm going to map it to what we call the phase in Sage Estimating. And then the phase will be tagged to the spec sections that I have set up in Sage Estimating. So now everything is appropriately tagged. I'll hit next. As you could see, we do have some dollar values here in the middle of the screen, and there's some detail that associate with that. If I hit the little arrow down there, you actually see the different subdivisions that make up the estimate. Now, I want to look at it in a more useful way, so I could just turn on a different column like the divisions. And so if I want to put the division first, I could put it that way. So then when I hit the down button, I could see all those things broken down this way. Same thing here with the general requirements, base bid, all the different type of things that I might want in there. And if you remember, I had some items that are falling under my general contractor construction items as opposed to general conditions. Same thing here. If we go into the actual estimate sheet, come back over here, we'll turn on the group phase and we'll put that first. So you could reorganize the data whichever way we want. And now we're on the estimate sheet over here, and everything kind of breaks down this way. And you'll notice over here in cast in place, where did this come from? Well, it came from Sage Estimating when we were doing some of the takeoff, if you remember. And I'll just stretch this out here a little bit so you could see that. And those dollar values, if you remember, we did in eTakeoff. And here are some of the numbers that we brought into the estimate. We'll go into the core of all that in just a moment. So just to jump a little bit forward, what I'm showing here, as you saw, is the cast in place concrete with the respective spec sections. Here's the bid package, and here's the spec sections that are in that bid package. And it's across the top that you actually put in your subcontractors or vendors across the top, and you would add them by pressing that button. What I'd like to do is familiarize yourself with the screen. So we got the matrix up top over here. And then if you noticed over here, you could create your own clarifications. And by doing so, you just have a flip switch over here going from one side or the other, green meaning it's included, red meaning it is excluded. very simple, but it helps to determine what different subs are including what, and you can make adjustments to certain things as well. At the bottom of the screen, we show you the clarifications, but also there's the details button over here. So what this does, it shows you that you could create a path analysis, and what that does, it basically shows you who has the lowest price. Well, right here, it shows you this concrete sub over here has the lowest price, but sometimes you have to have many subs, and sometimes you could have maybe 2, 3 subs in a bid package that are going to be made up for that bid package. And so you could have multiple subs, and then you have to figure out which is the best combination. So this path analysis, and another way of saying it, is the critical path of the lowest combination of prices of different subcontractors. You could limit it to only to one subcontractor. You could have unlimited 2 or 3, really whatever you'd like. But the program BidMatrix will actually do an analysis. What's your best path with your lowest price? And of course, you'll make up the decision which way you want to go. Now we'll just jump down, just go into some doors and frames. And so you'll see kind of the same thing. It actually shows you the different prices. When instead of taking one lump sum for one spec section, you actually, if you get quotes broken down per the different spec sections, you could actually see the makeup over here of who's got the best price for you based on the path analysis, and of course your clarifications, what they're including, what they're not including. So it's pretty much the same thing. Here we are in 9200, and it shows all these different spec sections that make up that bid package, and you have your matrix budget. And by the way, this is the information that would come from estimating, Sage Estimating. You'll actually see the takeoff items that came from Sage Estimating down below over here. Let me just show it to you. Well, remember we did some exterior framing in eTakeoff. It went into Sage Estimating, and from Sage Estimating, it came here into BidMatrix. This is kind of your scope check of your quantities, just to ask your trade, your subcontractor, hey, how many square foot of this, or how many linear foot of that, or how many squares of roofing, and so on. And it's your double check to help maybe understand what they're quoting. So these are the total numbers that are coming in from your estimate. We'll jump down to bases, ballasts, and paving. Here's your spec sections. And here across the top is everything that you're thinking about, the subs that you're going to get. And those subs are coming either from you adding subcontractors out of your database, or you're going to be able to add them from your Building Connected, from Procore, or SmartBid. And it really doesn't matter where you go on your spec sections. Your template's going to bring in all these spec sections based on the design of the project that you're doing. And so you'll see all these different type of things that are typical for this type of project. Obviously, you might not need as many as these things, but I just wanted to bring this in to show you that you could actually have, your typical spec sections coming in based on the design of the project. Before I'm done, I just wanted to recap a little bit about the summary sheet over here. Once we decide on a contractor, they will actually show up who you decided on was going to be the subcontractor of choice, and you'll see it over here. In concrete, we got the test concrete guy, and then we had drywaller A over here, and so on. And so the names come up over here, and you see all this. Another point of interest here, I did want to mention as well that all of this information will have the ability of sending back your estimate back into Sage Estimating, not to mess around with the original estimate, but the latest bid estimate that becomes the contracted estimate. And that estimate will integrate with Sage Intacct for construction, or Sage 300, or Sage 100 Contractor, all integrated.